You will not use a sick woman for your benefit. Leave her room right now.
I have never asked this family for one single thing.
I was so busy protecting her from you that I never asked if you needed protecting too.
You don't have to apologize. You have to prove it.
My father searched for you. My sister buried you.
Then let the truth finish. What she started 29 years ago.
Rain hit the tall windows of the Hahn estate at 11 o'clock at night. Inside a bedroom on the second floor, a heart monitor began to beep too fast. Sherita Woodson ran down the hallway with her medical bag in hand. She had been on this job 6 hours. She did not expect what happened next. She opened the door and found Grace Hahn sitting up in bed, pale, breathing hard, one hand pressed to her chest. Sherita moved fast, checking the pulse and the oxygen, speaking in the calm, steady voice of someone who had done this 100 times before. Grace's eyes opened all the way. She looked at Sherita's face like she was looking at a ghost. Then she grabbed Sherita's wrist with more strength than a sick woman should have. "Ella," she whispered. "You came back to me." Sherita froze. She did not know anyone named Ella. She had never heard that name in her life. But something about the way the old woman said it made her chest tighten. Before she could answer, the bedroom door slammed open. A tall Korean man stood in the doorway, tie loose, eyes sharp with fear and fury. This was Jae-won Han, the only son of the family, a man worth billions of dollars, and right now the only thing he cared about was the woman shaking in the bed. "Get away from my mother," he said. His voice was low. "Dangerous. Right now." Sherita stepped back, hands raised, but she did not look afraid. "Sir, I am her nurse. She just had an episode. Let me finish checking her vitals." Jae-won did not listen. He crossed the room in 3 long steps and pulled his mother's hand away from Sherita's wrist like he was saving her from a fire. "She has never met you before tonight," he said. "Why is she calling you her daughter?" The question hung in the air. Even Grace could not answer it clearly. Her words came out slow and broken, the leftover damage from a stroke 3 months earlier. "Ella, my Ella," she kept saying, tears sliding down her thin face. Jae-won's jaw tightened. He turned to Sherita like she was a criminal caught in the act. "I don't know what game you are playing," he said, in front of the housekeeper and the night guard. "But you will not confuse a sick woman for your own benefit. You are done here." Sherita's throat burned with the unfairness of it. She had done nothing wrong. She had only done her job. But she held her spine straight and looked him dead in the eye. "I have not asked your family for one single thing," she said quietly. "Not tonight. Not ever." The room went silent. Grace, still crying, tightened her weak fingers around a small object hanging from her own neck. A broken half of a golden heart. Sherita noticed it then for the first time. The broken heart on Grace Hahn's necklace looked exactly like the one she had worn since she was a little girl. The one her adoptive mother told her never to lose. She touched her own collarbone without thinking. Jae-won saw the movement and misread it completely. "Are you copying her?" he snapped. "Did you research this family before you came here?" Sherita shook her head, too stunned to explain what she barely understood herself. Who was Ella? Why did this stranger's necklace look like her own? And why did her whole body feel like it already knew the answer before her mind did? Before we go further into this story, I need you to do something for me. If you already feel your heart beating faster, hit that subscribe button right now and tap the like button, because this story is about to get a lot more emotional. Tell me in the comments where you are watching from tonight. Somewhere in this house, a truth has been buried for almost 30 years, and it is about to climb its way to the surface. Stay with me. You do not want to miss what happens next. The agency had no other nurse available that week. Every doctor Grace trusted was either retired or out of the country. So against his own instinct, Jae-won allowed Sherita to keep her position, but only under strict watch. He placed a camera outside his mother's door and assigned his assistant to check on every visit, making it painfully clear that Sherita was a suspect being watched, not a member of the household being welcomed. Yet something strange kept happening. Grace grew calmer around Sherita than she had been in months. Her blood pressure steadied. Her appetite returned. Even her stroke-slowed speech smoothed out when Sherita sat beside her, humming an old wordless lullaby while she checked her blood pressure. It was a habit Sherita never thought about, something she had hummed her whole life without knowing where it came from. One afternoon, Grace's whole body went still when she heard it. Her eyes filled instantly with tears. "Where did you learn that song?" she asked. Sherita shrugged. "I don't know. I've always known it. My mom said I hummed it before I could even talk." Grace's hand trembled around her teacup. She said nothing else that day. But from the hallway, unseen, J1 had heard every word. And for the first time, doubt cracked through his certainty. 2 days later, J1 found Sherita in the garden during her break and accused her of something new. He had seen his mother's private journal open on her nightstand, a page about a lost daughter from decades ago. "Did you ask her about that journal?" he demanded. "Are you trying to write yourself into an inheritance?" That was the moment something inside Sherita finally broke open. "You think I want your money?" she said, her voice shaking with a lifetime of being underestimated. "I was left in a hospital hallway when I was 3 days old. I grew up folding donated clothes and doing homework by flashlight because the electricity got shut off twice a year. I built my own nursing practice from nothing, dollar by dollar, because nobody was ever going to hand me anything. I have never once asked your mother for a single cent, and I never will. So you can keep your suspicion, Mr. Han, but you will not stand here and call my whole life a scheme." J1 opened his mouth, but no defense came out. He saw not a stranger, but a woman who had survived exactly what he feared most: abandonment. His own mother had died when he was 7, and Grace was the only mother he had left. That was why he fought so hard to protect her, even if it meant hurting an innocent woman in the process. Here's a question I want you to sit with. If protecting the person you love the most meant hurting an innocent stranger, would you still do it? Type your honest answer in the comments below, because J1 is about to learn that the woman he tried to throw out of this house might be the one piece of his family he was never told about. Like this video if you already feel your heart breaking for Sherita. And stay close, because what happens next changes everything. That night, a small package arrived from Savannah, Georgia. Sherita had asked her adoptive mother, Dorothy Woodson, to mail her old adoption file, the one she never had the courage to open. Sitting alone in the guest's cottage, Sherita finally broke the seal. Inside were 3 yellowed pages from a private adoption agency, dated 29 years earlier. The birth mother's name was blacked out by law, but one line remained visible. Birth mother is a Korean national, 21 years old, nursing exchange student, Atlanta, Georgia. Sherita's hands went cold. Atlanta, Korean, 29 years ago. She thought of the necklace. She thought of the lullaby. She thought of the word Grace kept whispering, "Ella." At the very same moment, inside the main house, Grace sat with J1 and finally told him the truth she had buried for 3 decades. Before she married his father, she had loved a young Black American medical student in Atlanta. She became pregnant. Her family gave her one choice: give up the baby or be disowned and sent home in shame. She chose survival. She never stopped regretting it. "I named her Ella," Grace said, crying openly for the first time in front of her son. "I have spent 29 years wondering if she was safe, if she was loved, if she ever thought about me." J1 sat frozen as the pieces slammed together. The necklace, the lullaby, the exact age, the exact city. He looked toward the guest's cottage window, where a light still burned, and understood that everything he believed tonight had just changed forever. J1 did not sleep that night. Instead of accusing, he investigated, quietly hiring a genealogist to compare the adoption file with his mother's old hospital records. He said nothing to his half-sister, Han Yuna, the company's ambitious chief operating officer, but Yuna noticed the secrecy anyway. She had her own reasons to be nervous. Years earlier, Yuna had found an old sealed folder in her late father's safe, including a photograph of a baby wearing half of a broken gold heart, proof that Grace's missing daughter had already been located years before. Their father buried the truth to protect the family's reputation before a merger, and Yuna buried it even longer, for a simpler reason. If Grace ever reunited with the lost daughter, the family trust Grace controlled, the deciding vote inside the company, might shift in ways Yuna could not control. That night, watching her brother's investigator arrive, Yuna made a call of her own. "We have a problem," she said quietly. "Move up the timeline." We need her gone before the shareholders' meeting. The next morning, sunlight poured over the estate's garden. Grace asked to speak with Sherita alone, away from watching eyes. She held both of Sherita's hands and told her everything slowly and gently, without asking for a forgiveness she did not think she deserved. The hospital room in Atlanta, the nurse who wrapped her daughter in a yellow blanket, the paper she signed with her whole hand shaking, the apartment she stood outside years later just to see if a little girl's swing set still moved in the wind. I never stopped looking for you, Grace said. I just never found you in time. Sherita cried for the first time since she arrived at this house. Not from anger. From the strange, aching relief of finally understanding why she never felt like she fully belonged anywhere. Later that day, Jae-won found her sitting by the fountain, her eyes still red. He sat down beside her, closer than he had ever allowed himself before. I owe you an apology, he said. A real one. Not the kind I've been giving. He told her about his own mother's death, about growing up in a house full of money and empty of comfort, about how Grace was the only person who ever made this cold estate feel like a home, and how terrified he had been of losing her to a stranger or worse, to a lie. I was so busy protecting her from you, he said quietly, that I never once asked if you needed protecting too. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Then his hand found hers, and for the first time she did not pull away. 3 nights later, the Hanul group held its annual gala inside a glass ballroom overlooking the city. Sherita attended at Grace's request, wearing a deep blue gown, her broken necklace resting at her collarbone. For a few hours, surrounded by soft music and warm light, it almost felt like she belonged there. Then Yuna made her move. In front of 300 guests and shareholders, a gossip website's breaking alert lit up dozens of phones at once. Mystery woman infiltrates billionaire family. Records reveal pattern of targeting wealthy widows. The fabricated story claimed Sherita had done this before. At a different estate, complete with documents Yuna had quietly paid someone to fake. Whispers spread through the ballroom like fire through dry grass. Cameras turned toward Sherita's face. For one unbearable second, Jae-won hesitated, stunned, searching for words. That single second of silence cut deeper than anything he could have said. Sherita did not wait for him to recover. She set down her glass, lifted her chin, and walked out of the ballroom alone, past every whispering guest, her heels echoing off the marble floor like a countdown. By midnight, she had packed her bag in the guest cottage, ready to disappear from a family that was never truly hers to begin with. Before I tell you what happens next, I want you to predict it in the comments. Do you think Sherita walks away for good? Or does the truth catch up with her before she reaches that gate? If you have chills right now, smash that like button. And if this is your first time here, subscribe, because Empire City Romance Stories is about to reveal a secret that has been hidden inside this family for 29 years. Stay with me. The nuclear truth is only seconds away. Headlights swept across the driveway just as Sherita reached the gate. It was Jae-won's private investigator, holding a thin folder in his hands. Inside was undeniable proof. An old letter from Jae-won's late father ordering a search agency to locate Grace's daughter, and a second signature beneath it, dated after the funeral from Han Yuna, instructing that same agency to keep the file sealed forever. Yuna had known the truth for years, letting her own mother grieve for a daughter she knew was alive, simply to protect her seat of power inside the family company. At the very same moment, a second package arrived from Savannah. Dorothy Woodson had overnight the one item she had kept hidden inside a cedar box for 29 years, the matching broken half of a small gold heart, engraved with 2 letters. Jae-won walked toward Sherita in the cold night air, and held both pieces of proof in his open hands. My father searched for you, he said, his voice breaking. My sister buried you. And through everything, my mother never stopped loving you. With trembling fingers, Sherita lifted the necklace from her own neck and pressed it against the matching half in Jae-won's hand. The 2 broken pieces locked together perfectly, forming one solid golden heart, engraved with the words, Grace and Ella, forever. The next morning, inside the Hanul Group boardroom, Grace Han walked in without her cane for the first time in months, her spine straight, her voice steady and clear. She placed the reunited necklace on the table in front of the entire board of directors. This is my daughter, she said, looking directly at Yuna. The daughter you knew was alive and chose to hide from me. Yuna's confident mask finally cracked. She tried to talk about protecting the family, the merger, everyone's future. But Jae-won, standing beside his mother in complete unity, cut her off. You didn't protect this family, he said. You protected your own position, and you let our mother suffer for it. By the end of the week, the board voted unanimously to remove Yuna from her position as chief operating officer. She did not go to prison, and she was not thrown into the street. But she lost the one thing she had sacrificed everything to keep: her power and her family's trust. Grace and Sherita spent the following month rebuilding 29 missing years, one conversation at a time. Grace did not ask to be forgiven instantly, and Sherita did not offer a forgiveness she did not yet feel. They simply kept showing up for each other morning after morning the way real family does. Jae-won kept his promise too, apologizing properly this time, naming exactly what he had done wrong. The accusations, the hesitation at the gala, the doubt he let win for 1 second. He did not ask her to forget it. He asked for the chance to prove through time and action that he had changed. He funded a nursing scholarship in her name at the hospital where she trained, not to buy her love, but to honor the years she spent surviving without help from anyone. And slowly, carefully, Sherita let him in, not because he was a billionaire, but because he had finally become a man worth trusting. 6 months later, sunlight filled the same mansion that once felt cold and unwelcoming. Sherita walked through the front gate again, but this time nobody questioned who she was. Grace waited on the porch, healthier and stronger, wearing a necklace that was no longer broken. Jae-won stood beside his mother, watching the only woman who had ever truly humbled him walk toward her family, at last as herself. Some truths take 29 years to find their way home. But love, real love, waits at the door the entire time. If this story touched your heart tonight, make sure you are subscribed to Empire City Romance Stories, because we release powerful new romance dramas just like this one every single week. Give this video a like if you believe truth always finds its way home, no matter how long it takes to arrive. And before you go, I want to know, if you discovered the family you always dreamed of had been hidden from you your whole life, would you still open the door? Tell me in the comments below. Turn on notifications so you never miss what we release next. I will see you in the next story.